Aaron Rodgers may not like the product of the Packers draft. That was Peter's first big takeaway, the slap in the face that Aaron Rodgers absorbed. And I mention that because yesterday, Bob McGinn, who covered the Packers for 38 years and has more recently been writing for The Athletic, he had this quote that just slapped me in the face when I read it regarding the decision to draft Jordan Love in Green Bay in round one, trading up to get him and then otherwise loading up the running game after that. Public niceties aside, McGinn writes, my sense is Matt LaFleur, the coach of the Packers, simply has had enough of Aaron Rodgers' act and wanted to change the narrative. With a first-round talent on the roster in Jordan Love, the Packers would gain leverage with their imperial quarterback and his passive, aggressive style. If the Packers do indeed want to become a running team next season, they surely wouldn't want Rodgers rocking the boat and becoming even more difficult to coach. I mean, there's a lot in there that we could probably spend a segment on each sentence in that paragraph, Peter. But, McGinn covered the team for 38 years, and McGinn still knows that team better than any other team. I mean, there's stuff there that surprised me because I thought Aaron Rodgers was happy last year. I thought the passive-aggressive stuff ended when Mike McCarthy got fired. He went on and on after they lost to the 49ers in the NFC Championship game about how he loves football again with all these players who have come in and helped with the leadership, and the players are empowered under Matt LaFleur. What gives, Peter?
Mike, the really interesting thing out of that, and obviously I have more respect for Bob McGinn than any beat writer in the country. He's unbelievably good. But the biggest deal in all of what he said, and now the stuff that's come bubbling beneath the surface, is that, last year, basically Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers had sort of, I don't even want to call it a truce, because I don't think it came from any place of anger or defiance or anything like that. But Aaron Rodgers was going to get to change plays and change a lot of plays. And I will go back in time right now, Mike. And everybody says with Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady that the real story behind that was that, Bledsoe got hurt because he was hit and plowed into the sideline by Mo Lewis of the Jets and had life-threatening internal injuries. And what we now know about that is Bill Belichick was already sick, and so was Charlie Weiss at the time, the offensive coordinator. I'm not saying sick of how often Drew Bledsoe changed plays at the line of scrimmage, but I think Belichick basically felt at the time that, hey, look, we work all week on doing this stuff, and now you're changing all these plays. Why are we doing that? And again, I want to find out. I want to know how many plays last year did Aaron Rodgers actually change from Matt LaFleur's original call? And he's got a lot of freedom, but did that freedom sort of backfire on him? Now, we're going to find that out pretty soon. But that freedom that Aaron Rodgers had, I now really wonder whether he took that freedom too far.
Well, maybe he did. Maybe he did take it too far. But what's going to stop them now? I mean, they better be careful, okay? Because they're just, to a degree here, they've empowered him here for the next 2 years too. Because he could just be like, hey, screw all of you. Looks like you want to replace me. Oh, you wanted to run that 96 power King running play? Forget it. I like to throw a slant over here to Devontae Adams. So, I think that's the interesting aspect of all this, and I don't really know what Green Bay's thought was. I mean, obviously they're planning for the future. Do I think Matt LaFleur, was a little taken aback last year by the fact that, he made some comments during the season? I was going back looking at a few things last night where he talked about, like, he felt weird in the fourth quarter because he wasn't doing anything, because he basically just went, okay, Rodgers, you take over. I don't think Matt LaFleur is the type of person that's like, man, I can't believe, Rodgers took away my power in the fourth quarter. I'm going to take it back. I don't think he's that type of guy. I've been around him before. I do think he was genuine in his, love affair that Rodgers did bring so much to the offense last year. So I'm not so sure I can get behind all the things in that report. And, Don McGann, I know, is an unbelievable writer, and he's awesome. And I'm not trying to, say he's lying or anything like that. But I just don't know what that thought process is right now. And I guess my big thing is Green Bay better be very careful about how they approach this, or they're going to really lose control of this guy, and he'll do whatever the hell he wants.
Well, Don McGahn, the former White House counsel, may indeed be a great writer. Bob McGinn also is, though, Chris, just to make sure.
Damn, I'm on a roll.
But here's the thing. And Peter, you hit the nail on the head. Because last year it was that column from Mike Silver, your former colleague at Sports Illustrated, now at NFL Media, who tapped into that, the audible thing, as Matt LaFleur called it, the tension that existed between the LaFleur offense and Aaron Rodgers wanting to have the freedom at the line of scrimmage, not have his hands tied by this plan to have 2 plays called in the huddle, and then the quarterback, based upon a predetermined set of factors, would determine at the line of scrimmage which one to use. He doesn't even have discretion. He has to make a decision based on what he sees, not what he thinks is going to work. That ultimately swung in Aaron Rodgers' favor, and he ended up with the full freedom to change the play whenever he wants. I spoke to Matt LaFleur after they beat the Bears in December, and he said, I have full trust in Aaron Rodgers. There was a touchdown early in the game on a 4th and 4 play from the Chicago 29 where Rodgers changed the play, and LaFleur was like, what the hell is he doing? And he scored, so it's like, that's fine. But, Peter, I still think that at some level it does create tension within the coach. Like, there's a system that I use. There's an attack that I have honed that helped me get this job. At some point, I'd kind of like to use it. And I don't know how actively they try to rein Aaron Rodgers in, or, Chris, like you say, whether it will even work, because I don't think it will work. I think the next year or two is going to be very bumpy and very rocky in Green Bay until they get to the point where the cap hit won't be devastating to move on from Aaron Rodgers. But Peter, I really, I thought what was there last summer had been resolved, but reading what Bob McGinn wrote and hearing your reaction to it, it really makes me think it hasn't been resolved. It was just kind of tucked under the covers to be dealt with another day.
We'll see. Mike, Chris is right. It's going to be a very interesting time. Plus, I mean, what is unfortunate, in my opinion, for the Packers is that they're not going to be able to get together much this offseason. Who knows? Aaron Rodgers might not shake Jordan Love's hand until August 20th. And they might not get together. So we don't know exactly what is going to happen and how things are going to change. 2 points, though, Mike. Didn't you find it very interesting? And I talked to Brian Gutekunst on Sunday. But didn't you find it very interesting that Brian Gutekunst went out of his way at his post-draft remarks to basically say, we want to run the ball. We want to be, we're going to, it sounded very much like he was saying, instead of being 60-40 pass, we're going to be 50-50 now or something like that. Or that's what we want to do. That's the first thing. And that's why drafting A.J. Dillon, which to me, I don't know. You got 2 running backs that are pretty good right now. You desperately need a wide receiver complement to Devontae Adams. I keep coming back to that. I'll come back to it until the Green Bay Packers play a football game and blow somebody out with, Valdez Scantling and Equinemius St. Brown and all that. And the Packers say those guys are going to be good players. Okay, let's see. But my biggest issue now is 6 years in a row, 6 years, the Green Bay Packers have not drafted a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds, and they have not spent significant money on a wide receiver in free agency. If you're Aaron Rodgers, what are you thinking right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm with you. I don't understand what Green Bay's thinking. I mean, hey, you're talking about the wide receivers, Peter King, and I'm with you. That's confusing. I mean, I think you could argue Aaron Rodgers has been like the greatest one-man band in football the last 8 or 9 years, maybe until the last few years with Russell Wilson. But it's been a lot of underwhelming receivers and offensive weapons. And, man, is there a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers on a week-to-week basis. That was the thing that's always bothered me. It bothered me about when Mike Holmgren was there. It bothered me again last year. There was moments where you just go, man, can can we just find somebody that can maybe catch a slant and run for 70 yards? Does it always have to be Rodgers dissecting a team down the field and having to make throws that nobody else can make, like we saw in the Seattle Seahawks playoff game or many other examples? So, and the other thing I'll say too here is, with the offense thing, I just don't know. Again, what I want to say is Matt LaFleur, who I have respect for, okay, and I still think probably got this job a little early or before he really deserved it, for lack of a better way to say it. I mean, his year as an offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans, they were 27th or 29th in football on offense. And when you apply for the Green Bay Packer job, you have to know what you're applying for. So I would think Green Bay knew, and Matt LaFleur would know what they're going to get when you're going there. Okay, yeah, we're going to get the coach, one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen, but also a quarterback that we know, yes, changes, has always had free reign throughout his career. He wasn't just going to give that up. And I think Matt LaFleur would have known that, and it was so successful in so many moments last year. And I still think with Rodgers under the center in big moments, Green Bay can pound the table and say, we want to run the ball all we want. When it comes down to 3rd and 2 in a big moment of the game, Aaron Rodgers is going to go, hey, I like my O-line, I like Aaron Jones, but I trust my right arm and Devontae Adams more. So I'm going to throw the ball here. And I don't think that's going to change until they get rid of Rodgers. And that's where it's going to get very interesting here in the next year or two.
For me, and then we have to take a break, I think it comes down to the old cliche, if you can't beat them, join them. And when we saw what happened to the Packers when they went to San Francisco in January and got blown off the field, they got blown off the field not by a passing game, they got blown off the field by a running game. And I think in the aftermath of that expertly designed Kyle Shanahan attack, where Mike LaFleur is an assistant coach. He's a passing game coordinator who had nothing to coordinate that game because they ran the ball down the throats of the Green Bay Packers. Instead of beefing up the run defense, instead of beefing up the passing game,
right,
Matt LaFleur wants his own running game that he can now trot out, and he can be the genius like Kyle Shanahan who designs these runs and wears a defense down and beats a team that way. And if it means Aaron Rodgers gets thrown overboard at some point in the next couple of years, so be it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.